Ashley Selman is the founder of Evolution Trainers, a 14,000 square foot elite personal training and small group training studio. She's assembled a world-class team of over 40 top health and fitness professionals and is generating over $4 million in revenue per year within her facility alone. Ashley's passion is helping trainers and studio owners build strategic, sustainable, and successful careers. She's now expanding her reach outside of Evolution Trainers as a national presenter and a studio startup coach to help fitness entrepreneurs around the country achieve the business of their dreams. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you, Gail.
Well, we're here at Idea Fitness. As many of you are familiar, I'm broadcasting from Idea this year, and I think it's fantastic. This is our Women in Business show, and for you to do $4 million in revenue is just fabulous. You should be in one of these Inc. 500. Have you tried for one of those Inc. 500?
No, I haven't.
Well, you should think about that because that's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
So how long have you been in business?
10 years.
10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's taken you that long to build up to the $4 million, or were you doing this?
Yeah, that's been in the last 2 years.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fabulous. And I want you to know she's got a brace on her leg. She trooped on over here from the Marriott Hotel, which is a little distance away from the convention center. And so she's a real trooper, and she's a businesswoman, and she looks fantastic. So how did you get into personal training?
Well, I was an athlete growing up and through college, and I tried out for the Olympic team. And
in what?
In the javelin. I was a two-time national champion in javelin.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so that was really a big focus of my life for a lot of years. And when I actually didn't make the Olympic team, which was fairly, pretty devastating when that's sort of your dream for a long time, to have that moment when it's just gone and you sort of feel a little lost. A lot lost. I wasn't sure what to do. And ironically got a phone call the next week to have an opportunity to coach one of my idols and one of the best female athletes of our time, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And it was one of those moments where it's like your life, you think you're going in a certain direction and you're really working towards something, and that didn't work out, but a totally different door opened. And that sort of was the first time I went from being an athlete to a coach.
And that was quite an honor. I remember her.
It was a huge honor.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a huge honor. And it was an amazing experience, both from a professional development experience for me, but also taking something that I was an expert in and really helping somebody else. It was sort of the first time I sort of shifted the focus to helping somebody else. And that's when I was really like, this is what it's about. And so that's when I got into coaching, and shortly after that got into personal training. And that was about 20 years ago.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, so you've been in business now for 20 years doing this. What would you say to somebody who's just starting out, a trainer who's just beginning?
Just keep learning. There's so much to learn about in this industry, both from training and the physical side of training, but also from business and, how to really, whether you have a studio or whether you're just an independent trainer on your own, like how do you really deliver, create relationships with clients that keep them coming back for all my clients have been like with me for 10 years now. And how do you create those relationships and really be somebody's lifelong coach and trainer? And it's just so much to learn in this industry. So I think just keep diving into education. I think when you're first starting out, sometimes it's easy to think you sort of know a lot. And then the more you learn, the more you realize there's more to learn. And so I think being a lifelong learner is key.
Well, talking to all the people I have during this conference, I mean, it's wonderful to see that the leaders in this industry just keep learning and learning and learning and learning and trying new things and so forth. But you opened your own studio. So what led to that? And what are some of the complications you found in that? I mean, I'm sure there's got to be obstacles and hurdles that you had to face and meet and then finally to be as successful as you are. So.
Sure. Every success story, I think, has many failures along the way, right? It's never as easy as it seems, or it's never, you see someone at when they're at their point of success and you don't really recognize what it took to get there. So my journey, I was a personal trainer with another facility. I was a manager and got in with a great company. I learned a ton about customer service, and they had a great team, and it was really a great company, so much so that the company got noticed by some investors, and they got $10 million invested in them to take this concept nationwide, because this is the late 90s when training studios were sort of novel. There weren't that many around. Yeah. And so long story short, the company, as they tried to grow, sort of took their eye off the fact that their trainers was really what made them successful. They were looking at sort of like our clients and our marketing and our facilities, and they didn't really realize the trainers were sort of the linchpin to the whole thing. And they made some changes in their management style. They started micromanaging. They started managing the trainers by numbers and really putting pressure on them. And it really just changed the whole culture. And a lot of the best trainers started leaving, which then hurt our quality. And then that started hurting the community feel. And it just, in a matter of 3 years, they lost $10 million. And still exists back into the original facility that they were in, but sort of a $10 million lesson. I was there through some of that. I left partway through because it wasn't resonating with me anymore. But I learned that it blazoned into me that your team, especially if you're an owner or a manager that has other that working for you and with you that are providing the service to the client, your team is really the critical piece of that equation, and they're going to determine how much success you have, and really they're key. So from that experience, decided I wanted to create my own studio where the entire focus of the studio is creating a world-class facility, a great business opportunity, and a great culture to help attract and retain the best fitness professionals.
You know, it's so interesting you say this, Ashley, because I had a company that I had it for 21 years. And I started with just a little bitty place, and I grew it to 7 offices, 350 people. And a corporation came by and wanted to buy it. And I thought, well, I've gone as far as I could by myself. And they saw this poor little girl who well, if she did all this, what could we do? And they bought it, and it changed everything. And they were out of business within a year. So it's really understanding your people are the heart of your business, as well, of course, as your customers, your clients, your whatever.
Absolutely.
So it's very interesting. So have you experienced any failures other than your not getting into the Olympics, which was a huge one for you?
Right, yeah.
Any other failures along the way?
Well, so when I left the last company before I opened my facility, I spent about 3 years trying to get a facility going, and I moved 3 different times, and there were many times during that period of time where I would be in tears and just sort of didn't think it was going to work out and thought I had hit the end of the road. And similar to the Olympic experience when, I didn't reach the goal that I originally had set, but I got this other opportunity. That's sort of what happened with my studio. I think that's a good lesson in life, is like things don't always turn out the way you envision. You can't always see all the different opportunities and options, but if you keep pursuing, a door will open that's the right fit. And for me, being where I am for my studio, where I ended up opening it, is by far the best outcome it could have been, even though at the time I couldn't see it that way.
And so where are you located?
I'm located in Mountain View, California, right in Silicon Valley. We just relocated 2 years ago, and I bought a building there in a really high value. I mean, it was a great opportunity. So I'm pretty thrilled to be there from a business client availability standpoint. And there's a lot of great trainers around there. So it really has been a great location for us.
Well, my son always says to me, Mom, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
So I guess
but when
that's
you're
really
in the
true.
middle of the journey, you can't always see that, right? So.
And that's, I think, important for our listeners to hear, is that things don't work out the way you plan, and you plan and you plan and you plan, and then somebody throws this jinx into it, and you say, well, I worked so hard, but something else will happen if it's meant to be.
Exactly.
As long as you've got the qualifications, you put in the hard work, you continue to learn, you don't give up, those are the things that are important.
100%.
So if you were to tell somebody, okay, open your own studio now, because you're doing a lot of coaching and things like that, what are the top tips you would tell somebody?
The first tip I tell people that I think gets skipped a lot of times is really being super clear on your vision, your intentions, your why, because that is going to create the foundation of every sort of decision you make from there. And I really believe part of the reason why I've been successful is I was so clear on that lesson I learned about the trainers. I was so clear that I wanted 100% to focus on my team and take care of them. When I opened 10 years ago, we had 7 trainers on the team. 10 years later, every single of those 7 trainers are still there as a trainer.
Wow.
And that didn't happen by accident. That happened because my intention was that I wanted to create a place that great trainers would thrive in and love and be successful in. So I think a lot of people, that I talk to, and they're trying to decide on how to do a studio, they're not really that clear on what's their business model, what type of trainers or team do they want, what client are they serving, and getting so crystal clear on that vision. Because the more fuzzy that vision gets, you're not going to be moving confidently in the direction to create success. You're going to be confused. You're going to have decisions that conflict with each other. And so I really coach people on really diving into what is their vision and helping them kind of formulate that.
Well, because I've worked with a lot of trainers, hiring trainers, and because I've been around a lot of, gyms and so forth, it's almost like herding cats sometimes, these trainers, because, they have these visions of how great they are and where they should be, and that's great. But again, it's not that easy to go and open your own place or to start a business and maintain a business. I mean, you can start, you can make this big splash, but that doesn't mean you're going to continue. So why, your business model, I guess, is not typical. So why did you decide to choose an independent contractor model?
Yeah, I get that question a lot because it is a lot of people in the industry sort of say you shouldn't do independent contractors, or it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to create a team that way. But the reason why I chose that model was exactly because I wanted the trainers to have a great opportunity in working at my facility. So by being an independent contractor, they have more autonomy. They they keep more of the revenue, more of the money of the session. They can kind of send their business in whatever direction they want to, sort of the type of training they do, or if they want to work with groups, or if they want to combine with online coaching, they can really be creative in creating their business. And so I wanted to give them that autonomy, and I wanted to attract trainers that were already good at what they did and were ready for that next step in their career. So I'm not saying that this is what I coach people on. I'm not saying every person should open an independent contractor model, but I feel like I figured out how to do it in a way that works. And then the employee model is great too, but just know which one you want and why. And it's not because of how you pay the person. That's what most people think, like, oh, independent contractor is how you pay them differently. It's like, yes, that's a detail, that's a logistic, but that's not a why. That's not the reason you choose one model or the other. They're two completely different animals, and you have to approach them very differently.
Well, there's a big discussion with independent contractors in any business that if they are working exclusively for you, then they are employees. Even though they classify themselves as independents, they are employees, and you have to pay, FICA and withholding and workman's comp and all of that. Yeah. So how do you approach that with them? Are they working also outside of your?
They have the flexibility to do that if they want. Some do and some don't. The key for me, the key for my business, and that's what I coach people on, is the trainers are the ones collecting the money from the clients, and they're paying rent to the gym. So I'm actually not paying the trainers anything. So I don't 1099 them. I don't give them any income.
Smart move.
So that in and of itself solves the whole issue because they're technically paying me rent to use my space and they're renting my equipment. So it solves those issues around control because I'm not paying them. But I don't set their schedules. I don't make them wear uniforms. I don't tell them how to train. I don't have any control, but I can control who is on my team and who isn't. So I'm very particular in the beginning who I bring on because I know once they're on the team, I give them kind of full leeway to do what they do best.
So do you have classes or do you just have a training facility?
We do small group training as well. One-on-one training and pair training is our probably 80% of what we do. But we do offer small group classes that just a few of us teach. And in those group classes, not to get too complicated, but the trainers who teach those classes are employees just for those classes because we do collect the money. So I'm just trying to keep it really, really above board from a IRS standpoint that if they're teaching our classes, we pay them as an employee. But if they're training clients pay them, they pay rent.
That's fantastic. It's almost like the beauty salons that rent chairs.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. So now you have 35 leading health and fitness professionals working with you. So any other secrets to how you built such a strong team?
Well, of those 35, they're partly trainers. We also have massage therapists, physical therapists, chiropractors, and acupuncture,
Really?
all in our facility. So,
wow.
yeah, and it's been very much a word of mouth sort of networking type of way that we've grown the team. People have been happy and have loved the